Hi, fellow heirs. Welcome back to Weekday Wind Down with the Word, where we are reading the book of Genesis. And today's reading will be coming from Genesis 16 in the NLT version. This chapter is about the birth of Ishmael. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had not been able to bear children for him, but she had an Egyptian servant named Hagar. So Sarai said to Abram, "The Lord has prevented me from having children. Go and sleep with my servant. Perhaps I can have children through her." And Abram agreed with Sarai's proposal. So Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, the Egyptian servant, and gave her to Abram as a wife. This happened 10 years after Abram had settled in the land of Canaan. So Abram had sexual relation with Hagar, and she became pregnant. But when Hagar knew she was pregnant, she began to treat her mistress Sarai with contempt. Then Sarai said to Abram, "This is all your fault. I put my servant into your arms, but now that she is pregnant, she treats me with contempt. The Lord will show who's wrong, you or me." Abram replied, "Look, she is your servant, so deal with her as you see fit." Then Sarai treated Hagar so harshly that she finally ran away. The angel of the Lord found Hagar beside a spring of water in the wilderness along the road of Shur. The angel said to her, "Hagar, Sarah's servant, where have you come from and where are you going?" "I'm running away from my mistress, Sarai," she replied. The angel of the Lord said to her, "Return to your mistress and submit to her authority." Then he added, "I will give you more descendants than you can count." And the angel also said, "You are now pregnant and will give birth to a son. You are to name him Ishmael, which means God hears. For the Lord has heard your cry of distress. This son of yours will be a wild man, as untamed as a wild donkey. He will raise his fist against everyone, and everyone will be against him. Yes, he will live in open hostility against all his relatives." Thereafter, Hagar used another name to refer to the Lord who had spoken to her. She said, "You are the God who sees me." She also said, "Have I truly seen the one who sees me?" So that well was named Bel-Lahai-roi, which means well of the living one who sees me. It can still be found between Kadesh and Bered. So Hagar gave Abram a son, and Abram named him Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Ishmael was born. Wow. In this one, I'm actually thinking about the women and how, unfortunately, when we try to control things, we can really mess things up. We can really mess things up. I don't know about you, but I know my mind strategize. As a woman, I think it's natural for us to strategize. We are naturally concerned about our well-being, what's going to happen in the future. Are we, me and my husband, or if you're a single person, am I going to be able to survive in my older years? We look at things like that and we try to think of, how we can make it happen to where when we're no longer working, we are taken care of, and we get very sensitive in money matters because of that particular thing, So we don't, we kind of careful. Some of us are kind of careful about how we spend and how much we spend. And I think men are more risk takers when it comes to that. So we can get to strategizing, how we're going to do this and how we're going to do that. And I guess since she felt like she didn't have a son, let me help the Lord out. Okay. But I find it I don't know. I just find it strange that Abram just, when she told him to sleep with Hagar, how he just fell in lockstep with what she said. And this ain't the only time in the Bible this has happened. I mean, Jezebel did it. Adam at least said, well, I think Adam was like, well, wasn't that the tree God told us not to eat of? He did say that, but I don't know. Maybe it's just the text. It just doesn't seem like these men are manning up when these women are trying to tell them stuff. They're trying to give them direction. And I know I'm probably being very critical, and I probably do the same thing. Go sometimes, instead of going straight to the Lord and confirming something with him, I'll go ahead and do it, taking direction from somebody else. And I guess it's easier for me to see their errors from my standpoint, looking back at what they did and what the effect of those choices were. But I'm just thinking, these men, they just do what these women tell them to. And I'm thinking that don't fly in my marriage. This is just what I'm thinking. That does not fly in my marriage. And I pray that, Lord, if I am, and I know I have a strong personality, and so I have to watch myself, because I can boss my husband sometimes, but, that causes friction, because my husband ain't easy to be bossed around. So anyways, and y'all pray for me in that regards. I was just thinking, how these men just went lockstep in it. And another thing I was taken aback by is how Sarah flipped the script. It's these people always throwing the blame. Even in Adam and Eve time, they always flipping the script. Well, God, it was that woman that you gave me. And then the woman, well, it was the serpent. So they always flipping the script. Then Sarah gave Abram the woman to sleep with, and then when she gets pregnant and she gets all uppity, then Sarah want to say, well, it's your fault, Abram. And I'm like, how is it his fault? I'm just thinking, and I know this probably isn't spiritual, but sometimes you just think about how the story actually is and how messed up it is. And I guess the moral of the story is take it to God. Take your concerns and all of your requests to God. And if you have any questions about what he has told you, go back to him who has given you instruction or has told you what's going to happen in the first place, and get some clarification from him, and not our family and our friends, and not try to manipulate the situation or make it happen faster than what has happened, make it happen faster than how it's playing out. You know what I'm trying to say. But, we should take it to him, especially when he's already told him, hey, I'm going to do it. And he already had faith that God would do it. But I guess he figured, well, I don't know how God's going to do it. Maybe he is going to do it through Hagar. But anyway, this is where all of that stuff unfolds in the Middle East. All of the tragedies and fighting in the Middle East. This is why it never stops. At least to my understanding, it's because of Ishmael and then the heirs from Sarah. With that being said, I'm going to leave it right here. Please, 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 this is a big one, y'all. Put in the comments below what you think about this chapter. If anything stood out to you, can you compare it to anything going on in the world today? Does God have a message exactly for you in this chapter? Thank you for listening to Weekday Wind Down with the Word, and have a great day. Bye.